So you're 5 weeks in now.
Yep.
I mean, do you just hit the ground running? Well, I mean, where do you start? Is it just a case of doing your due diligence, getting to know everybody first? I mean, what does it look like?
So the first part has got to be just getting to know people. So, if you're lucky, I've joined some companies where they really just expect you to drop you. For some reason, almost every time I've joined a company as a CTO, it's usually right before a board meeting or right before some important something or other, right? Where I'm like, well, I'll join in a few weeks. Oh, no, you can't join that. You got to join right now because the board meeting's next week. You need to be here. And you're like, okay. So sometimes the companies really if they're worried about something, they really want you to get in, start doing stuff. I try and resist that if I can, because I do think it's important for me to get to meet people.
Yeah.
Understand the personalities, understand sort of the things as they are now. Again, before I start wanting to change something. But sometimes CEOs or boards are really kind of fixated on there's this challenge, there's this problem, and we need you to come solve it right now. But luckily, that's not always the case. Most of the time, I can take a little bit of time, and it only takes a few weeks really to go and meet all the key people, meet the teams, kind of see them in place, see them in the way that they are, and start to build out a mental model, right? And one of the things I did at prior companies, at Avo, I had, it was like, oh, you need to be here at the board, there's a board meeting. But they did give me the time to go, and I met with every team in my organization, and actually in a lot of the other organizations as well. And I was able to ask them, what's working. I'm brand new, right? I have no responsibility for anything that's happened before. And as far as you're concerned, I can fix any problem that exists because I'm new, right? So what do you want me to fix, and what do you want me to not screw up? And just those two questions to each of those teams, I made a massive list of the problems that people perceived and a massive list of the things that were working well. And then I could kind of affinity group them across teams and understand, okay, what's really working, what's really not working, what are the kind of uber problems, the meta problems that these specific teams' complaints are about, what's wrong with the system, and then I could start figuring out how I messed, or that's a bad word, how I worked with the system to actually improve the overall things. That gave me a lot. That helped me a lot there, kind of really change the kind of fundamental challenges that the organization was having. Whereas if I fixated on each of the little problems, I would have fixed a lot of small stuff, but I wouldn't have fixed the real problems.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm trying to do that very much at Anaconda as well.
Yeah. So it's very, I mean, there's a lot of strategy involved in joining a new business as a CTO, and that time frame from first joining to then starting to make some sort of impact, some noticeable impact, because I guess a lot of the smaller stuff you don't see, certainly from an ROI perspective, when the company goes, well, we haven't made $50 million more, so what's he doing? What does that time frame look like before you see a noticeable impact as a CTO typically?
It's going to depend on the company. It's really going to be very context dependent, because it depends where the company is in their process and what their challenges are. If the company's under siege, or if the company's really struggling, you need to actually demonstrate that you're bringing value pretty quickly. And it could be small wins, just visible wins as a way to do that. If the company's actually doing pretty well, but they're doing well, but they think they could do better, then it's a little bit more of, okay, let me figure out sort of what the thing is. I think you do need to start looking for kind of visibly moving the needle. I would say I think you probably have maybe 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 2 months at most. So like now, like at Anaconda, now I think I've got the lay of the land. I don't understand everything. What Anaconda does is so broad in scope and there's so many pieces to it. I don't have every understanding of every piece, but I understand the general lay of the land. I sort of see which pieces are working pretty well, and they really don't need me messing with them. I'm just going to make things worse. And which things I think I can look at and go, you know what, I think if we made a few changes here, we'd actually get some visible improvement. And that's where I'm starting to dive in on, and just supporting the leaders in those areas and helping them maybe approach the problem in a bit of a different way so that we can get some kind of measurable improvements. So I do think, I would try and do that within the first month or, 6 weeks. But like I said, some companies, they want you to do that day one. Come in, fix stuff. And you just have to be aware of the world you're working in and why they hired you instead of someone else. And if they hired you because they wanted you to change things on day one, if you don't start doing that, they're going to start wondering why they hired you.